Well, man, looks like this is gonna be our last crate. Ever since Crash stopped selling, just can't afford to keep the ship afloat. That crazy bastard kept spinning as long as he could. Mitchell. Goddamn Mitchell. Never gonna forget the time you got us out of that nitro crisis. Saved every goddamn soul in this factory. And Diesel? Goddamn Diesel. Baddest motherfucker in the business right there. Only motherfucker crazy enough to carry a TNT in between two steel crates. You're a gem. Last but not least, Alejandro. Senor, my sweet Alejandro. Without you, I don't think Crash would have been able to see the big stage, Alejandro. Working tirelessly every night in this factory, crate after crate after crate. This man right here is a miracle in this business. Chief! Boss! What the hell, Rook?
We're not out of business. We're out of business. N Sane trilogy. Crash. He's back. Brand new graphics. We're still in business.
Mitchell, Diesel, Alejandro. Senor, let's make some crates, damn it. We're back in business.
System check. Sticks check. Game check. SB!
Hey, what's up everybody? It's SBSteve. Thank you for being back. And I have a little bit of a new look today. I'm rocking my glasses. So back then, I wouldn't get my games right then and there because, you know, I'm a little kid, I don't have money, so I'd have to wait a couple years to be able to get some of these games. And later in my life, I was able to pick up one of my absolute favorite franchise, Crash Bandicoot. When you would think of the console wars back in the day, if you were aware of it, 3 names would come up all the time. Mario, Sonic, and Crash Bandicoot. These 3 could do no wrong. Well, back then. Today, the only one that seems to be holding up pretty good is Mario. Crash just got a remastered, and Sonic, well, he's Sonic. I've played a ton of Crash games back in the day, and it kind of bummed me out that the future Crash games just didn't keep up to the standard of the original 3. But then, I heard the news. Birds start chirping, the sun comes out the sky. Crash is coming back. And I'm super excited about that. So what does it mean for the rest of the series? Are we going to get a remaster of Wrath of Cortex? Who knows? But for now, I'm pretty happy where Crash stands. So, let's jump into this PlayStation classic and see where it all started for Crash Bandicoot.
The first time I played Crash Bandicoot is sort of a blur. I have more memories with Wrath of Cortex more than any other Crash game, but why is that? I never actually had a memory card up until I got a GameCube, so I never got to beat most of my games before that. I would try to beat most of my games in a day, but with 2 older brothers, 1 TV, and a bunch of schoolwork, it's kinda hard. The first part of the game is a breeze. With how many times I've done it before, I'm pretty familiar with it. The only thing I had to familiarize myself with is where the hell all these boxes are. Not being able to save any of my progress back then made me not even care about getting the boxes or the gems at that. But with the remaster of the first 3 Crash games being a thing, I'm up for the challenge. I'm pretty happy that I can die and still get the gems on levels that don't offer the color gem. And let me tell you, I don't know how they expected some of these levels to get beat in one go by casual gamers. For example, any level with a bridge. These jumps have to be super precise, and in the first game, Crash is not the parkour legend he soon becomes. I've always been used to Crash being able to slide jump, and spin in the air to keep flight, so being able to only spin and jump is kind of a letdown. But it's the guy's first go, so I'll cut him some slack. His limited movement, weird camera angles, and fall speed did not make getting some of these gems easy, and I can't imagine having to get them all in the original. Aside from some graphical improvements, Crash is still the same old game we all loved from the past. This was a game I would play for hours and hours, and it was so basic. I wasn't playing it for the story at all, and I could care less about it. What made me love the game even more was how ridiculous the advertising for the game was. PlayStation was pretty direct in their advertising back then. The most common one that everyone seems to know is when Crash would pull up to Nintendo and talk shit about Mario. These commercials were hilarious back then, and you should check them out if you have the chance. But it didn't stop there. Crash was a troll way before the internet became infested with them. The development team even took some shots at Sega, calling the game Sonic's ass game while in development, cause, you know, you look at Crash's ass most of the time. Why do I have to explain that? All the fun the team was having when developing Crash outside the game was only part of it for me. Every bit of detail in the game was accounted for. The graphical update on these levels is incredible when you look at the original. The forest environment is full of vibrant colors everywhere you look, but the levels in Cortex Labs still don't do it for me. Their designs are great, but the terrible camera angles made these levels a drag. The castle levels, though they may be frustrating, were my favorites. It challenged my jumping ability, depth perception, and timing the best out of all levels. And you know we can't go on too far without talking about the music. When I first heard the updated original Crash theme, I swear someone took a needle and shot me up with nostalgia. The music in the game is pretty enjoyable, and I wouldn't say it's some of my favorite video game music, but it gets the job done. One thing that never gets old is the Aku Aku theme. As soon as I get that invincibility, I become Speedrunner Steve, and we all know how that goes most of the time. With Speedrunner Steve, there comes deaths, and a lot of them. Thankfully in Crash, if you suck like me, there are plenty of death animations for you to enjoy. Whether it be being burnt to ashes, drowning in water, or just getting shocked, there's something out there to please all you weirdos. And with all these deaths comes the greatest death call ever. Whoa! I'm gonna be using that a lot going forward. Whoa! With all these good things I'm saying about the first Crash game, why is it the worst out of the first three? Well, it's easy. It's too simple. I mean, overall, Crash is simple, but this is bare bones. When you play other Crash games in the trilogy, you'll begin to understand. They expand so much more on other games, giving Crash new moves, more to collect, and a few other things. One thing that is constant between all Crash games are the bosses. These guys are all jokes. They all go down fairly easy, their patterns are pretty readable, and after a couple hits, it's over. And I don't play this game to beat on scrubs. I want the Dark Souls level of difficulty that everyone was talking about. I want to see what the hype is really about. In the original, there was no time trial for the levels, and for a good reason. When the only thing you can do movement wise is run and jump, there's not too many ways to actually get around certain things. With how precise you have to be and the camera working against you, time trial seems more like a chore than a challenge. And don't get me wrong, I gave it the benefit of the doubt and I attempted the first couple of levels before I told myself that this is pretty stupid. Personally, I've never liked time trials, so don't ever expect me to do these. Whoa! The story of Crash is a simple one. We have mad scientist Dr. Neo Cortex conducting experiments on animals, nothing wrong there, standard protocol, to form an army of wild animals to do his bidding. While trying to convert Crash, Cortex and his sidekick Brio have a failed experiment. Running around Cortex lab, Crash jumps out the window forgetting one thing, his girlfriend, who we only see for one game and forget she even exists after that. I get that this is the 90s and you gotta have some sort of damsel in distress, but come on, he's an animal. Imagine if Sonic has some sort of love interest that made no sense whatsoever. That game would be terrible, right? Right? Whoa! So with Crash escaping, he sets off to climb up the mountain again and save his girlfriend. One thing I never got, and I hope someone can explain this to me, why is Coco there? Was she also an experiment? Did she break away as well? I'm not sure what exactly her role is here, but she's there. One cool thing you can do in the N Sane trilogy is switch out Crash for Coco if you like her a little bit better. This is something I felt that they should have expanded on with this game. Think about how cool it would be if you could play as Cortex, Brio, or even Tiny even though he's not here yet. You could have given them different animations while still keeping the core game the same. If anyone's watching this and you're making a Wrath of Cortex remake, we want character options. Like mentioned earlier, these boss fights are a joke. The best thing about them is the actual characters themselves. Every one of them has something to make them have their own little bit of challenge. Whether it be jumping around looking stupid, shooting a Tommy gun, or just throwing some dangerous vials around. There's always some sort of pattern to remember, except for Papu Papu. I get that he's the first boss, but don't disrespect me with this soft. There's different ways to show me the ropes without making me feel brain dead. The regular levels is where all of the challenges. In these levels, there are boxes to break and Tanya medals for bonus stages. Some levels have Brio medals and Cortex medals, and if you break every single box, you'll get a silver gem. Levels that offer the color gem want you to take a little bit of an extra step. Break every box and don't die once. And this is where the stress, if there is any, starts to kick in. Crash dies in one hit and everything kills the poor man. Thinking you're done with a level that you can't die on once just to miss one box or two is heartbreaking. Yeah, you can backtrack, but that's not a fight you're gonna beat the camera in. If you get every silver gem, you'll be able to skip the Cortex fight on the top of the ship. Doing this gives you a different ending than you get if you were to fight Cortex. I like the extras, but this is anticlimactic. If you choose to fight Cortex and win, you'll knock him down the mountain, destroy his lab, and ride off into the sunset with your girl. Good for you, Crash. Good for you.
Whoa!
What up? You know, I really enjoyed the original Crash game, but would I go back to it after beating it? Nah. It's too simple. Pretty much, once you beat it the first time, you've kind of seen everything. There's nothing really you can go back and do aside from getting the secret ending, but if you decide to skip out on it, you're not really missing much. Aside from the graphical update and being able to play as Coco, this game is pretty much everything I remembered it was from when I was a kid. So, next time, I'm going to be checking out the second game in the trio, Cortex Strikes Back. Oh yeah, and about the rating scale, forget that, it's stupid. I'll just let you know if I like the game or not and if you should play it. And should you play Crash 1? Yes. This is definitely a great game to introduce someone to this style of gaming, so if you want to try it out, I definitely recommend it. But hey, that's pretty much it for today. If you took the time out of your day to watch this video, I appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SBSteve50. My name, obviously, SB! And I'll catch y'all some other time.